Well, here we are, and we are waiting. All right, we got 5 viewers. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is December the 12th, 2021. Thank you for joining me live here this morning. I'm going to be discussing a variety of topics this morning. First and foremost, I'd like to talk about an idea I've been floating around. I even discussed this on the radio many moons ago. For the local listeners who live in the state of Connecticut, you may be familiar with Sebastian in the Morning. This was a radio commentary who was featured on 1069 WCCC, The Rock. Boy, do I miss that channel. And I know the locals out here miss it just as well. Anywho, the man had former Speaker of the Democrat Party, Chris Donovan, here in the state of Connecticut on the air one morning. And they were talking about that old story regarding the AIG executives. And this is during the Obama era tenure. And it was a very wild controversy about the taxation of the bonuses of these AIG executives. Now, I was working at the time as branch manager of an industrial fastener supplier located on Meadow Street in Hartford. And I was listening to that radio broadcast, and I was compelled to call in and ask Mr. Donovan some questions. One of those questions was about punitive taxation on a singular group of people and the Supreme Court ruling in regard to the AIG executives and the taxation of their bonuses. Now, ultimately, what happened was taxing the bonuses of the AIG executives was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. And despite Obama's wishes and that of the federal government, those bonuses were not going to be taxed. So I took that ruling and equated it to what was going on here in the state of Connecticut, formerly known as the Constitution State. It is now the socialist racketeering nanny police state. But formerly known as the Constitution State. These guys are whacking cigarette smokers, which is a singular group of people. These folks are whacking cigarette smokers about $9 and change in taxes to date. Currently, the tax on cigarettes in the state of Connecticut has got to be $9 or over $9 right now. To get a pack of cigarettes in the state of Connecticut, you're looking to spend about $13. Now, this is actually illegal. There's a Supreme Court ruling that deems punitive taxation on a singular group of people to be unconstitutional and illegal. The sin tax is a term created by the deceptive state used to conceal its criminal activities, in this case, illegal taxation. It seems the state has coined the term sin tax, which at best is nothing more than a kind and gentle euphemism for punitive taxation upon singular groups of people. Connecticut is well known for doing this. This illegal taxation process is widely known as a crime, and as I've already stated, it has been ruled unconstitutional, quote unquote, by the U.S. Supreme Court.
So you can take your camera and go downstairs with it.
Now, I would like to organize a very calculated and coordinated effort to bring a class action lawsuit against the state of Connecticut. And I'd like to set the trend and help other citizens across the United States do the very same thing in their state, so that we can hold our state representatives and officials accountable for their crimes and illegal taxation upon singular groups of people. Ladies and gentlemen, taxation without representation truly is theft, and we are going to put a stop to it once and for all. How does that sound? Isn't that exciting? I think that's exciting, and I think in a court proceeding, the people are well prepared to win and successfully do this. So all in due time, we will absolutely be doing that here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. And we are not going to be able to do it without you. So I would hope that you look into what I've just stated. And if you are a cigarette smoker, I'd like to collect your signature. I'm going to be organizing this over the next month or so. I'm going to start collecting signatures and start from the very beginning in this process and take it all the way to the top and see how it goes. Moving on. I'll give you a quick update regarding my court proceeding that I have a criminal court date set for tomorrow. I suspect all the charges against me will be dropped. I should be at that point retrieving my cell phone tomorrow. I should be getting my cell phone back, my $1,000 S21 that I most often use for creating adjective record and holding our government accountable. To give you a quick update on what's been happening, the illegal obstruction of public records pertaining specifically to my egregious and corrupted family court case continues. This time, the clerks under the dictatorship of Chief Clerk in Forgery, Mr. Roy Smith, have absolutely royally screwed themselves. I've been after these public records for nearly a year's time. These records pertain specifically and exclusively to my very own family court case. No matter what I do, no matter what I've done, no matter how nice, nor how professional, no matter how short or direct, no matter the displeasure I've shared with regard to the corrupted process, the judicial clerks, judicial marshals, and other court staff, such as monitors, reporters, and operation heads, on behalf of criminal judges, who will all be named, by the way, have all played a role in obstructing these records. They have all engaged in this criminal activity, and each of them have participated in corrupting and covering up this process, essentially violating state and federal laws, violating the Constitution, and violating our constitutionally protected rights. It's absolutely unacceptable. On my community page, for those interested, I have provided a copy of Connecticut General Statute 52-259A. Now, what this means is when I file a sworn statement to state police, Troop C in this case, reporting felony perjury allegations, witness tampering, bribing a witness, contempt, and other criminal activities that have occurred not only inside but outside of the courthouse, GA 19, Rockville Family Court, 69 Brooklyn Street, Rockville, Connecticut. The Troop C, the state police troop, with the jurisdiction over what happens in and out of that courthouse in that county, Talon County, would be required to respond and begin a criminal investigation into the allegations and potential felony charges. This also means when the investigating officer went to 69 Brooklyn Street, Rockville, Connecticut, just a couple, 2-3 days ago, to seize or obtain copy of all records relevant to the court case, my family court case, in which these serious crimes are evident, while in his official capacity, the clerks are required to provide without cost, without hassle, without obstruction, without impeding the criminal investigation, all records relevant to the criminal investigation. And they're supposed to do that without charging him any money. That's according to Connecticut General Statute 52-259, Section A. Now, instead of following the Connecticut General Statute, instead of following our laws, instead of doing that, the individual or individuals that engaged with State Trooper Davis lied to him and actually attempted to charge him money for said records. The criminal clerk went even further and attempted to run Connecticut State Trooper Davis through the same hoops that they would any private citizen or even self-representing party, all while ignoring the criminal investigation, all while ignoring his official capacity and the severity of the situation. This individual or these individuals will be charged criminally with obstruction, among other things. This individual or these individuals will be publicly exposed for their crimes. We will be obtaining these records, and there will be arrests made as a result. The spider's web grows larger and larger as I pursue for justice. And you know what, people? I'm never going to stop. It's almost like they figured they could have intimidated me to the point of giving up at this point. And it's just not going to happen. I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop. They've gone as far as falsely arresting me now. And I'm not stopping. Now, if you go and you read the Connecticut General Statute 52-259A, you can go ahead and confirm what I'm saying here. I've confirmed it with many clerks and even court operations that the court does not and should not be attempting to charge other state agencies for said records, especially when the records are needed in part of the criminal investigation. Now, I've recorded a number of engagements with court operations and a number of higher ups and clerks, and have confirmed, in fact, that the Rockville court, GA 19, absolutely violated that statute when State Police Officer Davis went there to obtain these records. Courts cannot charge investigating state agencies money for any reason here in the state of Connecticut anyway, especially like in this case, in an effort to stonewall access to public records that will cost the clerks and other court staff and judges their jobs. This courthouse and the criminal court staff within it have gone as far as falsely arresting me, assaulting me, battering me, applying unlawful physical restraint. And you can watch my unlawful arrest right on my channel. The name of the video is called 1A Rockville Family Court. And I'm really not too surprised that they actually went as far as trying to obstruct these records, even within a criminal investigation, even from a state police officer conducting that criminal investigation. I mean, these idiots basically just sealed their fate. What else do I got for you today? Yeah, my court date is tomorrow. I'll be at court at 9 a.m. I suspect that my charges at that time will be dropped, and I'm very much looking forward to speaking with the state's attorney. One of the major issues I have with all of this is the lack of probable cause, the complete absence of a practical approach or rational logic, or is a serious problem here. The state police, despite the fact that there is nothing on my phone, no evidence of the events that had taken place located at 69 Brooklyn Street the day of my arrest on November 29th, are recorded on the cell phone. Everything was live streamed on the internet. And when I arrived at the courthouse, I had called state police to make them aware of the issues that I expected to be a problem. And, so from the moment I showed up at that courthouse to conduct my business, I called state police. And from the moment I hung up with their dispatch, I began my live stream. So you have a complete and accurate timeline from the moment I got to the courthouse to the moment I was illegally arrested and my property illegally seized. You have all the evidence you would need of the events. Now, I actually got a state trooper on a recorded line admitting that they're after my metadata. They're using the phone as evidence. Evidence of what? What evidence, right? So what I asked them to clarify, what's on the phone that you're after that you don't already have and I'm not willing to provide you? Oh, well, we're trying to get a search warrant. They held my phone illegally without a search warrant. We're trying to get a search warrant. Well, what are you trying to search the phone for? What do you need? What is on there? What evidence are you after to convict me with, to enforce the bogus charges of crimes that never happened? What evidence? Oh, we're after the metadata. So the police are admitting that they just want to spy on me, and that the warrant application to search my phone is exclusively for metadata, not evidence of what happened, not not an account of what happened, not anything. They just want to spy on me now. The state of Connecticut wants to spy on me, and the state police are putting a spy apparatus on my phone right now. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? You don't even got to break the law. They don't even need a warrant. I got that recorded too. You got some sergeant, over there. I'm going to call him Sergeant Shit for Brains. Sergeant Shit for Brains doesn't think he needs a warrant to seize your property. He thinks he can just play judge, jury, and executioner and take your property for whatever reason he wants. He doesn't even need probable cause. If you get arrested on bogus charges here in the state of Connecticut and they seize your property and they want to spy on you or rifle through all your personal stuff, claiming that they're looking for evidence, they're going to do that without a warrant. And that's a crime. That's a crime, period. End of discussion. So we got a number of issues with Troop C that will be addressed. But I do got to say, Trooper Davis seems to have his heart in the right place. And I have some faith in him still yet. So hopefully he gets it right. I've made it very clear to him that if he doesn't make things right here, he's going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble too. If these guys get this right, maybe they could be my deputy here when I'm constitutional sheriff in the state of Connecticut. But if they get it wrong, they're going to be charged criminally and they're going to be sued civilly. And I'm not going to stop pursuing that, period. So we'll see who the good guys are. We'll see who the bad guys are. We'll hold the bad guys accountable and we'll commend all of the good guys. When I get out of court tomorrow, I will be going live. I might even be going live from the courthouse when I get my phone back. I am absolutely 99.9% confident that all the charges will be dropped. And then it's go time. So anyway, I went live this morning basically because PDF's live stream went down. I was watching it and I was hoping that some of his viewers would come here and tune in for me. I'll go ahead and check the chat now for you guys. Good morning, D. John, Six Banger. Jen Wow, good morning. John Smith, thank you so much for being here from Northeast Ohio. Rachel N., thank you so much for being here. Dr. Florida Man. Anyone hear about Andrew Coffey ruling of self-defense in Florida? I have not. We can go ahead and look into that. And if there's anything noteworthy in there, we can absolutely discuss it here on Tyrant Slayer Studios. High Plains Drifter, thank you so much. John Matthew, thank you. Steve Mazur, you don't have government. The government doesn't represent you nor serve you. Well, I have to, in a literal sense, on paper, we do have government, but, in the real world, I have to agree with you. Pfizer has government. The people do not. Hey, that's a good point, man. J Parker 352. Thank you so much. It is a taxpayer-funded mob, isn't it? Raise travel. Nothing ever happens to corrupt police. Corrupt cops don't care about rules and will destroy anything you value to stop the truth. Even good cops are scared of bad cops. It's funny you say that. I had a brief conversation about that specifically with Trooper Honeywell, who was the state trooper who booked me and did the dirty work of the arresting officer, who I'll leave unnamed right now. And he did confirm with me that there are still bad cops around, and that they do, on behalf of the union, attempt to push all the good cops out. But it's not something that is as prevalent as it once was. But don't let that diminish the fact that it is still occurring and that it is still a very real and very dangerous problem, not just for the citizens of the state of Connecticut, but for state police in that union. Even local police. I ran into some Willimantic police a couple, 3-4 days ago down at Cumberland Farms, Main Street, Willimantic. There were maybe 4 or 5 of these guys. collecting themselves at the gas station. They really loved Tyrant Slayer Studios Mobile Unit 1. They really liked checking out the bike. And once I introduced myself as a government accountability activist and told them a little bit about Tyrant Slayer Studios and the First Amendment auditing community here on YouTube, they immediately switched gears and started talking about, corruption and unions and why, even good cops coupled and united with good citizens can't seem to make a dent in this machine that's just burning a hole in our pocket and literally destroying lives to serve itself. What's up, John Matthew from Wisconsin? Ray's Travel, I can assure you, here at Tyrant Slayer Studios, we're going to break that mold and set a new standard, set an example, and hopefully inspire all of the people so intrigued and inclined to do the very same thing that I'm doing. And then collectively in unity, we can start making great strides together and essentially improve our lives in the manner of which they need to be. Who else we got here? Does anybody have any questions? Right now is the time for questions. If you got a question for me, I want to hear it. I want to know what your question is, and I want to answer your question. So if you're here and chat with us, leave me a question. Oligarchy is the political system we have. Well, we are dictated by financial oligarchs, are we not? I mean, this bank was hijacked. I mean, this country was hijacked by bankers via the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. And just a mere 20 years later, this country was declared bankrupt. Since then, we've been in the grips of these financial oligarchs. And it is a very serious problem. The state governments and even the federal governments in that regard have essentially been beholden to the banks, beholden to the unions, not the people. The government, the federal government, the state governments, and the federal government absolutely seem to be beholden to the corrupt, to the elite, to the bankers, to the unions, to the financial oligarchy. They appear to be very distant and in a very dysfunctional relationship with the people who they are actually sworn to serve. It's a very disturbing set of circumstances. It's been a long, ongoing problem. America has essentially been a corporation since November 22nd, 1963. Let's see. VASF Tech. Christian B., the Lord will be with you as well. I've been getting these comments about doing God's work for some time, and they're very inspiring. So keep those coming. I like that. It's a hell of a lot better than what I get from some of these trolls around here. Shock Professor, thank you for being here. Yeah, I hope so too, Ray. Listen, I have very high aspirations. I'm making some very solid promises here, but I'm only a man, bro. I mean, I can do everything the right way, and I can go after justice and have truth on my side and still be unsuccessful. In fact, one of the greatest keys to success in all of these endeavors is you, sir. It's you. It's Grace Martin. It's Stephen Mazur. It's John Matthew. It's the underdog. It's Rachel N. It's Dr. Florida Man. It's Jay Parker 352. It's Six Banger. It's D Johns. It's Poor Dirt Farmer. It's Rogue Nation. It's all of us together. We all actually have to do something collectively. There has to be real unity, in the United States. Otherwise, we're going to get picked off on each one of our own individual fronts, and the government, through its divisive strategies, will be able to successfully thwart all of our efforts and prohibit us from actually coming together. So it's not going to be easy, sir, but anything is possible. As long as you got the right minds and the determination behind it, behind the objective, you can continue to attempt to push forward. And that's just what we're going to do here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. We are going to push, and we are going to push people pushing us back. We're going to push them harder, and we're going to do so with the law and with the truth and with God on our side. And we're going to do it together because there's no other way to do it successfully. We got to do it together. Follow me on Facebook. If you have Facebook, follow me on Facebook. Timothy M. Riley. There you go. I just doxed myself. My name's Timothy M. Riley. Follow me on Facebook and check out my Facebook page, Tyrant Slayer Studios. Follow my page. Follow my profile. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Make sure you have that alert bell set to all here on YouTube so that when I go live. It never fails. I always get messages from people telling me that they're not getting the notifications and alerts. And in many cases, they have that bell set. So, aside from the censorship trying to prohibit us from, those censoring us, trying to prohibit us from coming together, we still can, do that. And we still have tools that we can utilize and kind of rely on. And one of those is, right here on YouTube. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, watch my videos, finger through my playlists, ask me questions, leave me questions in the comment section, and get engaged, get involved, because I can't do this without you, period. I can't do it without you. I can have all the greatest ideas. I can be an intelligent man. I can have law on my side, but if I'm all by myself, I'm going to get steamrolled, okay? If you're all by yourself, you're going to get steamrolled. We have to organize as well as our political oppositions and the state does against us. If we do not do that, we're all burning our rubber here. We're just wasting our time. And that's something that I just cannot tolerate. I hate wasting time. I hate it. I hate wasting time. So every action I take is usually calculated. And there's a lot of logic and purpose and reason behind it, cause behind it. Jay Parker, 352. If Trooper Davis ends up helping you out, you think we'll be able to utilize him to look into further corruption out of his own precinct and GA 19 Superior Court? It's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked. Yeah, I actually think if and this is in lieu of things getting washed out here in the right way. In lieu of that, then yes, absolutely. I think he would probably have to be well insulated and protected. He's going to need reliable media contacts. He's going to need the support of the public. He's going to need the citizens around him. And I think if he could, get a sense of security from that, he would absolutely be willing to be our guy and maybe even be my deputy sheriff one day. Stephen Mazur, there is unity and overwhelming majority for bootlickers. Yes, ain't that the truth? Everyone always seems to be united around the cause that's on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of our present day culture, the wrong side of tradition. Those who are best organized in this country hate this country. You guys realize that, right? The people that hate us and are doing their due diligence to destroy everything we hold near and dear are very well organized. They are very well funded. They've got corporate press contacts. They've got politicians in their pockets. They are very well organized and they are very dangerous. Very dangerous. So we need to step it up, people. We need to step it up. Sitting on YouTube and watching people talk about what can happen is one thing. Getting together with these people and organizing in a genuinely united effort is going to make a world of difference. That's what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. We need to organize and unite. If we do not do that, we are going to lose everything. Ultimately, we'll all lose our YouTube channels. Ultimately, we'll all lose the Bill of Rights. Everything will be nullified. We'll lose the Constitution. We'll lose this nation. We'll lose the future in this nation, for this nation, in this nation, for our children. We will lose court cases when we are illegally arrested. We will lose our property, our lives, man. We need to get organized. The other side does it really, really well. And anyone who pays attention to them, I mean, there are intelligent people, but most of these people are lunatics. If lunatics are organizing so well, what the hell is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? Christian B. Brian from High Impact Flicks was stating about standing together in groups, coming together. His video was about the internment camps in Australia for COVID vax. I'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, Australia is a radical socialist dictatorship. Let's not tiptoe around the tulips for Australia here, okay? I'm so sick and tired of seeing people on social media and elsewhere talking about Australia like it's the golden country of the world, like the best place to be, like they've got it right, like if only we were more like Australia, this wouldn't be. Jesus, man. Australia is a completely dictatorial shithole. Let's just put it out there. Australia is a dump, and its government is completely out of control. It's a completely centralized dictatorial situation for the people of Australia out there. You can't even leave your house. They'll throw a helicopter on your ass and arrest you and beat the shit out of you for leaving your house in Australia. Meanwhile, no data on the face of this planet indicates that what the government out there is doing is even remotely required. It's something that it should even be remotely doing in response to this whole, I don't even want to say the word on my channel. I'm not saying the C word. I'm not saying the P word. I'm not going to give Google and YouTube any opportunity to censor me and remove this video for stating the truth. The truth is, there is no data on the face of this earth that legitimizes the actions of the Australian government. A completely centralized and dictatorial criminal rogue government, abusing, persecuting, and oppressing its own people. Australia is a joke. If you're an American and you're watching what's going on in Australia and you're not upset, there's something wrong with you. Now, unfortunately, being here in America, there's nothing we can do for those people in Australia. Nothing. It's their own fault. I've had conversations with Australians for the last 20 years. I have friends all over the world. I have friends in Iceland. I have friends in the Netherlands. I have friends all strewn through the UK. I have a correspondent in Italy. I've got friends all over this country. I've got friends in Australia. And these people have defended their government over and over and over again. You know, I try to tell them, hey, in America, you know, if something like this was happening, you know, here's what we would try to do about it. Here's how wrong it is. Like, you know, aren't you guys asking these ethical questions? Nothing. These people like hate me for talking bad about their government in Australia. The people of Australia, the ones I've talked to personally with firsthand experience with, they're completely brainwashed and they actually embrace their centralized dictatorial government. They embrace it. They like it this way there in Australia. You know, not everybody, don't get me wrong, but Jesus, you sleep in the bed that you made for yourselves, people. Australia did this to itself, and America's doing it here. These Antifa and certain political groups and all of this anti-American pro-socialist crap here in America is essentially the same thing that happened in Australia. And if we keep going down that road, we're going to have internment camps here too. And we'll be a completely centralized dictatorial a nation, you know, under the boot of its own government. We won't have any choice. We'll be like the people in Australia. Is that what everybody wants? Jesus. Stephen Mazur, armed Americans have not stopped mandates, and armed Americans did not stop government from shutting down our economy. Well, there's a reason for that. The armed Americans have not fired any shots in this civil war yet. Make no mistake about it, folks. We are absolutely in a civil war. This is a Cold War right now, as no shots have been fired from our side. The Americans are not firing upon the criminal elements and entities of their own government. And I have to say that's a good move. That's a good move. The climate ever since Donald Trump became president in this country has been such that there's an entire opposite wing of the federal government working with corrupt state governments who were essentially trying to get rid of Donald Trump since day one. One lie after another, one false report after another, one witch hunt after another. We went from Russian collusion, all of which has been disproven, to one thing after another, right? And when all of it failed, guess what we got hit with? The P word and the C word. And they took it all away from us that way. They crashed the economy on us that way, right? Now, this evil entity within our own nation and in the, behind the pillars of our own state buildings and within our own echelons of our own government, it's infiltrated everywhere. This evil entity will absolutely declare martial law and double, triple, quadruple down on all of its unlawful actions and begin policing Americans with the United States military, going door to door, knocking on the doors of all of the fools who registered their guns first. The people that the state and the government knows has guns right now, they're going to come for you first because they think that you're going to start shooting at them in this civil war. If Americans start going out into the streets and shooting their guns and really, if there's a real revolution and a real a point where things come to a head and the American citizens are rifling off rounds at the government, they're going to declare martial law and deploy the military on your ass, right? And they're going to round up innocent people and throw us all in these camps. We're going to speed up the process for them if we do it that way. We have to work smarter, not harder. We have to do things. Violence is always the very last resort. It's not even an option. It's only a resort. It's something that we have to fall back to if we must. But make no mistake, man, it is very important that people remain peaceful and rational during this very turbulent and troubling time within the United States of America today. We do not want to give the government an excuse to start cracking whips and putting boots down on the throats of gun owners, of anyone there. I mean, look at the DHS summary reports since Obama's tenure to current day. I mean, they call Christians potential terrorists, right? You got Biden's federal government is classifying parents who are against, muzzling their kids all day, the threat to national security. Terrorists. The FBI is investigating parents of school children who don't want their kids in masks. So what do you think going out in the street and shooting at government officials is going to accomplish? It's not going to accomplish anything good. It's going to be completely counterproductive, and they're going to crack a whip on everyone's ass faster than we can load up our next magazine. So let's not get crazy here just yet. There will be a time and there will be a place for everything. Now is not the time. We are in the place, but now is not the time. How do we get organized? Most people look at me like a loon when I say it. Well, you're putting your head out there in the wrong place. You're trying to reach unreachable people. What you've done in your engagement with those people who call you a loon, at the very least, is you've planted a seed. And now it might take 2 months longer in this news cycle, or 6 months longer of world events and events in this country, to actually get that seed that you planted in that person's head that called you a loon to actually grow into something. Something's going to happen once you got that seed in that individual's head who is seemingly unreachable during the conversation initially. Months later, weeks later, it could be hours later even, or it might even be years later. That individual is going to come across enough information and realize enough events that what you stated will ultimately gain merit, and you would be vindicated, and that seed will grow and be harvested, and you'll have someone on board on the right side of things for a change. But don't let that stuff discourage you, man. You're gonna be called names. You're gonna meet people who simply will not and do not agree with you, and that's good. That's good and healthy. We don't want a country where everyone agrees with one another. You know, like any relationship, you know, you have to have disagreements. You have to have controversial discussions in which, you know, there are opposing sides, so that those opposing sides can ultimately attempt to reach some sort of negotiation, you know, and then find a way to coexist in that negotiation without further problems. You know, it's the same recipe for any republic like the United States of America. This country will not survive without controversial debate, without disagreement, you know. So you just got to keep pressing, Chris. You just got to keep going, man. You will connect with people and you will disconnect with people. People will yell at you, others will hug you. You know, you got to work through all those people. It's like being the fat, ugly kid. If you call 100 girls for a date, you might get fucking rejected 99 times. But guess what? Somebody out of that 100 is going to date you, even if it's the very last one. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing ahead. That's it. That's all we can do. My uncle, Jay Parker, 352. My uncle was a state trooper for 30 plus years out of Troop C, and he told me you'll never find a higher concentration of scumbags other than jail as you do in that troop. Trooper Nick Longo. Well, Jay Parker 352, I would like to speak with your uncle, and perhaps you can join us on panel as well. You're a very familiar face. I'd like to hear what you have to say on a number of topics. I'd love to hear a little bit about your life experience and you know, what your opinions are. I'd love to get you and your uncle on so that we can talk about his 30-year tenure in Troop C in a little more detail. We'll put that stuff under the light and we'll let the people get their heads all around it. And I know for a fact the guys over at Troop C are watching, so it would be good for them to hear it too. That would be a great day. You can email me at studioadmin, STUDIO, studio admin, ADMIN, at TyrantSlayerStudios.com. If you'd like to coordinate that panel discussion, I'd love to have you guys. Broken System, Broken Trust, thank you so much for being here. Yes, Australia is in really bad shape. You might as well call Australia the modern day Nazi Germany, because that's what it is. In fact, all of the misguided information, I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking now. All of the information the United States government has been misguided with came from Australia. All of the projections that the state of Connecticut used to insinuate and actually claim very loud and very hysterically back in February of 2020, the state of Connecticut claimed in February 2020 that the state of Connecticut was poised to lose 50,000 citizens to COVID in the month of March alone, because it's so dangerous. It's so deadly. You know where the state of Connecticut was getting its information from to make these statements? Australia. You know, where the whole world set its initiative based on the false projections, the terribly inaccurate, proven over and over again to be terribly inaccurate projections of the computer models in Australia. So we're getting information off of computer models that make projections, and these projections are made using an algorithm written by a bunch of radical socialists and political scientists, stooges, criminals that work for the state of Australia. Or whatever you call that. I'm calling it a centralized dictatorial nanny state. That's what Australia is. All of the data that the United States government has used from day one going forward to scare the hell out of everybody came from projections made on computers in Australia, built by a bunch of radical socialists. What could go wrong? What do you think is going to happen here? Is it any wonder why the projections have been so off this entire time? The Connecticut government and Connecticut media told us in 2020, in February, that Connecticut was going to lose 50,000 citizens in March alone. You know how many people Connecticut has lost to date? It's less than 10,000 people. And out of that 10,000, more than half are fraudulently documented. The cause of death is clearly an alternate cause of death, but they're calling it a COVID death anyway, because the big scam in Connecticut is getting all of these public hospitals and all of these Democrat, socialist, strongholds in Connecticut and these communist strongholds in Connecticut out of bankruptcy. That's what all this is about. This is all about getting that federal money into the state. So if they've got to lie and say your aunt died from COVID, that's what they're going to do at the hospital. And the hospital will pay you $5,000 to lie with them. In fact, Bacchus Hospital in Norwich, Connecticut will pay you $5,000, give you $5,000 for your funeral expenses if you just sign this form that says your relative died from COVID, even if your relative didn't die from COVID. Even if your relative died from congestive heart failure, if you sign this form making it appear that your relative died from COVID, the state of Connecticut will give you $5,000 to help you pay for the funeral expenses of your relative. Okay? And then the hospital will pocket the other $55,000, right? Yeah, that's what's really happening here. It's called fraud for federal dollars. That's what's happening, and it's all based on a bunch of bullshit that came from computer projections in Australia, a centralized dictatorial shithole in which the government is abusing, oppressing, and persecuting its own people. Is it any wonder why the United States and the state of Connecticut has its response to this bullshit so screwed up? It's not any surprise to me. It's not any wonder to me. Let's continue on. Having guns doesn't change that. Let's see. Stephen Mazur, time is the main thing on our side. Our main hope is that nature will improve us. So that's an interesting philosophy, sir. I don't know that plants and things are going to be taking up arms and helping us dispose of tyrannical government, but perhaps the foliage and cover they provide will help us in some manner yet. Stephen Mazur, Australia, just went back to their roots. They are a prison again. My great hope is that the USA will also go back to our roots. Yeah, and we'll fly over there and free all the prisoners and destroy that communist, socialist, Marxist, authoritarian, Orwellian, dictatorial Nazi government. Because we know better, because we can. Chris Spivey. I truly believe that the V word and the followed S word are a B word. Please check the comment section to get a clue at what I'm trying to read without getting censored and thrown off YouTube. In 2010, Bill Gates said that we could take out 10 to 15% of the population with viruses and shots. Yes, I do remember seeing the video. Agenda 21 was floating around during the Obama tenure. And a lot of what everybody was labeled a conspiracy theorist for has actually come to pass. It's quite remarkable. It's quite alarming. And if you're not paying attention yet and it hasn't aggravated you, then you better start paying close attention, because it's only a matter of time before this shit starts creeping into your house and into your kid's school. There's people losing their jobs in this country over this stuff, over nonsense. You know, there's people being arrested and thrown to the ground and given concussions and abrasions on their heads, because they're not wearing masks, right? Right? I mean, the New England Medical Journal, real-world peer-reviewed studies regarding mask usage irrefutably prove that they're worthless. They don't do anything. In fact, they're counterproductive. And for over 103 years, every doctor and every scientist in this country, in every newspaper, in all of their own studies and work, they've all concluded through these real-world application peer-reviewed studies that mask usage is absolutely worthless and very dangerous during any sort of pandemic, because viral pathogens collect on the face mask, and human beings habitually touch their face and adjust that mask and then touch door handles and touch other things. It's been proven that mask usage, specifically prolonged mask usage, actually is a detriment during the time of a pandemic. It actually increases spread, increases the likelihood of getting sick. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for bacterial infections to occur. You're trapping a bunch of garbage over your airways on your face, and then you're touching it with your hands, and then you're touching the gas pump, and you're touching the keys on your ATM machine, and you're touching the debit machine at the store, and you're touching the shopping cart while you play with your mask over and over and over again, and you wear that mask all day. Here's a reality that everybody needs to get their heads around. If you're not changing your mask every 15 minutes, it's worthless. It's worthless. Masks are designed to be used in sanitary environments, not outside, in a climate-controlled room where they perform surgery, where the temperature is cold, where people are all wearing gloves, where there is no skin-to-skin contact or saliva floating around in the air because it's all being blocked by masks. You don't want somebody's saliva falling into your open wound or into your body in the middle of surgery, right? That's what masks were made for. I digress on the masks. There's just so much. People are hysterical. One of the largest problems in America today is mental health. Mental health. And until we address that real problem, nothing's going to get better. We used to institutionalize the mentally inept. We don't do that anymore. Why? Why aren't we doing that anymore? Now we have a bunch of mentally inept people running around trying to dictate how we live our lives in pure state-manufactured hysteria, paranoia, irrational fear and paranoia is dictating the lives of more than half of America right now. And then the rest of us are trying to find a way to live among all these lunatics, and we're slowly breaking down. It's a serious, serious obstacle that needs to be overcome. And I think one of the most direct ways to tackle it is by addressing mental health issues and even addiction. They kind of go part and parcel. They go hand in hand. And until we do that, we're not really going to make any real progress in much of anything. We can have small victories here and there, but until we get a real good handle on a very real mental health issue in this state, in this country, we're going to have some serious problems. Homelessness doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't come by choice. That's mental health and addiction problems right there. Now the state exploits the mentally inept, and they prey upon those who are reliant upon them for their medical treatments and their shelter and their food and their travel and their clothing and their Obama phone and all the crap that goes along with socialism, depending upon the state to take care of you every step of the way. This is not Australia, people. This is still the United States. Do you want to become Australia? You got to start getting a handle on these things. I want to be here to help do that, but I can't do it alone. Stephen Mazur, I lost my job because I refused to wear a mask. I would like to speak with you about that, sir. Do you live in an at-will employment state? Is there a doctrine for your state about, regarding at-will employment? Or is there some sort of legal recourse for you? These are things that we can look into together. Can you file a wrongful termination suit? You can take the clear, irrefutable data published in the New England Medical Journal and decades of peer-reviewed real-world application studies regarding masks. You could take all that stuff into court and totally blow them out of the water. You could show how your employer that fired you is actually endangering the lives of all of the employees who are willing to, risk their own health to appease someone's feelings. Feelings, ladies and gentlemen, feelings. People feel safer when they see others in masks. People feel like they're a better person. I feel like I care more than other people who don't wear masks. That makes me better. And that's part of the problem. We got to stop accommodating people's feelings and start getting real. I'd like to talk to you about that. You can find my email in the About section. I did drop it once already. Here, I'll put it in the comments for you, Steve. Email me. I'd like to talk to you about your wrongful termination and see if there ain't any legal recourse for you. Because that's how we fix things together. While you're alone, you lost your job. Well, if you were insulated and you had a great big support network behind you, maybe you'd still have that job right now, right? So let's do it, people. Let's get together. Let's stop dicking the dog and start putting our heads together and really make a difference here. Colorado. Hey, Slayer, do you believe this is the third term of Obama? Well, I mean, you could argue that, and you could probably argue that quite successfully. To be honest, it seems more like Nancy Pelosi's the president right now. Or maybe it's a combination of. Here's what I do know. I don't really know how to answer that question, but what I do know is Joe Biden is certainly not president. That's what I know for a fact. Joe Biden is not president. He has the title, but he is not president. Jess Yellow, thank you for being here. Brian Schnur, thank you for being here. I'm not sure I understand your question, Jess Yellow. So rate of pay in states versus housing prices has nothing to do with things. Listen, widespread homelessness, tent cities aren't comprised of people who have been foreclosed upon by a bank. Okay. There are going to be foreclosures that render American families homeless in this country, but that doesn't happen very often at all. And, when it does, people like that tend to have other family to rely on. They can move into their relative's house or something like that. They'll have friends and family and support around them, as opposed to, someone who's struggling with drug addiction and has severe mental issues. They're going to be homeless because no one wants them in their house, because they've stolen from their friends. They've stolen from their parents. They can't be trusted. They've got a reputation because of their erratic or turbulent behavior, unstable behavior, and poor choices. That's where you're getting mass homelessness from. Tent cities, the folks defecating on the sidewalk in front of somebody's poor 6-year-old little girl, shooting heroin up on the sidewalks. If you're going to San Francisco, by the way, if you're going to San Francisco today, be sure to wear a hazmat suit and iron boots so that when you step on all of those hypodermic needles covered with STDs and all sorts of germs and viruses and deadly diseases, they don't puncture your foot and your boot, and your foot and infect you. Better yet, just steer clear of San Francisco. In fact, fuck California. How about that? And all the communists out there too. Fuck them. And that includes you, New Haven, Connecticut. Fuck all you communists out here in New Haven, Connecticut. We know who you are. I have your names. I'll be dropping them. I'll be dropping a bombshell of data on you fools out there in New Haven, Connecticut. And you too, Hartford. I know you're not as strong out there in your stronghold in the capital city of Connecticut. But I know you communists are out there, and I know who your names. I know who you are and what you're doing and where your money's coming from and what you like to do with it. I know who's in bed with you here. And it's all going to be put under the light. It's all going to be illuminated. And what are you going to do then? Better run for the fucking hills is what you're going to do. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Chris, thanks for joining us today. Wife wants me to do something productive. Bless y'all. I just found your page and we'll start following you. Hey, amen, man. Thank you so much for being here. You come to the right place. You're surrounded with the right people here. And that's one desire I think we can all share is being productive. It's very easy to allow our emotions to dictate our behaviors and actions in such a turbulent time within the United States. When the government is so oppressive, when people are being persecuted, and things are just looking so dismal and dark, there is no time where the desire has ever been greater to be productive in our actions. It's very easy to be counterproductive in our actions. And here at Tyrant Slayer Studios, we strive to be productive. So thank you for joining us. You come to the right place, and hopefully we can inspire you and intrigue you to get involved and be truly productive in our efforts to rein in the corruption of our very own government, not just within our own states, but on a federal and national level as well. Government accountability is what it's all about here. Transparency, accountability, and when appropriate, liability, ladies and gentlemen, liability. We are not afraid to file lawsuits here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. In fact, we are going to be filing many lawsuits here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. One of which I talked about briefly at the very beginning of this live stream, which is class action. If you're a cigarette smoker in the state of Connecticut, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like your signature as you are going to be part of the class action lawsuit against the state of Connecticut, who is illegally, unconstitutionally imposing punitive taxation on the singular group of people known as cigarette smokers. Now, anyone who knows anything knows that punitive taxation on a singular group of people is unconstitutional, and it's been ruled as such by the Supreme Court. But I digress. So we're going to file lawsuits here together. We're not going to do it for selfish reasons. We're going to do it together. We're going to fight together. We're going to win together, and we're going to bask in our victory together. We're going to celebrate together. We're going to do great things together here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. Oh, let's see. Who else we got here? Heading this in, Tropical and Company. I'm scrolling up there, pal. You got to bear with me. I mean, I'm not perfect here. I am human. I am a human being. I do have feelings. Let's see. Scrolling through your comments. Yeah, you're damn right. That's very true. The first thing the public does when we wear masks is touch it. They touch it all day. all day long. It's counterproductive, and it's been stated as such for 103 years. All of a sudden, in 2020, it changed because it's very profitable. Pandemics are very profitable in crony capitalist societies where the government is actually in tainted relationships with private entities. Corrupt relationships. Yeah. So let's see. I am looking for Tropical and Co. Let's see what you had for me up there, Tropical. I'm scrolling up. I'm up to 20 minutes ago, man. Oh. Plus, anyone could fire a gun like a bump stock without a bump stock. All right, so we were talking about guns. Here we go. Trump signed civil asset forfeiture back into law. Well, I don't know anything about that, so I can't even really comment on it. But if you've got to forfeit your civil assets for one reason or another lawfully, well, then what's the problem? Let's see. You fell for the WWE show. World Wrestling Entertainment? All right. I gave you a shot, Tropical. I'm having a hard time following you, pal. Seth Black. The U.S. government has a plan when people do start shooting. The U.S. government prefers shootings. It's the only thing they understand. You're goddamn right. That's what I'm saying. We got to work smarter, not harder. They're doing their best to irritate us every day. Why do you think they report the news the way they report the news? Why do you think everything is so lopsided and biased and unfair all the time? It's because they want us to be irritated. They want us to get angry. They want us to act irrational and violently. That they want a violent reaction so they can go, see, we told you. Look at all these right-wing extremists. Look at all these radical insurrectionists. Look at them. Look at them. They got their guns. Look at these people are a real threat to national security. Don't worry, guys. We'll go out there and we'll round them all up with the military. That's what would happen. So, well, hey, that's a great topic for discussion. I will absolutely look into it. We will absolutely do a show on this. Thank you for bringing me the insight. And thank you for joining us here today. Thanks for your audience participation. I sincerely appreciate it. You seem to be very vocal on the subject and very knowledgeable, I guess. I mean, you seem to be knowledgeable to some degree. You know more about it than I do. So perhaps if you're interested, you'd like to join me on panel sometime going forward this week. And we can go ahead and bring that up together. Because that's what we do here. We do things together. I'd love to have you, Tropical and Co. Studio admin at TyrantSlayerStudios.com. Email me, man. We'll coordinate. Jess Yellow. Texas Info Warrior. Alex Jones was right. Hey, I can't say I disagree. Stephen Mazur, could take 1,000,000 years, but maybe evolution will eventually improve humans to the point where we can think for ourselves and be moral people. Well, Stephen, I think we're already there, but unfortunately, a large segment of the human population has regressed, but they haven't done so willingly. They have unwittingly regressed and lack ethics, lack morals. They have no moral fiber left, but they've been deceived. These people have been brainwashed. These people are victims of this state manufactured regression. This is a result of decades of brainwashing and a diminishing education system, which was long taken over by the Board of Ed and the federal, dirty federal government. It's it's terrible what's happening. These people are victims, and we have to treat them and remember. We have to treat them as victims and remember that they are victims. They've regressed into the state of mind that they are in now because they've been deceived and manipulated by corporate media, literal subversives on television, masquerading as journalists. Subversives on television masquerading as journalists on behalf of the United States government and its Central Intelligence Agency. Operation Mockingbird. All right, I digress. This live stream is going on long enough. I do sincerely appreciate everybody for joining me. Please, if you have not done so already, head on over to activismnewsnetwork.com. Subscribe to Activism News Network. It's $3.99 a month. I think you get the or $2.99, $3.99. Shit, don't quote me on that. It's pretty cheap. The level of information and the content you get is well worth the bang in your buck. You're getting a hell of a lot of bang for such little buck, and the education is almost, you can't place a value upon it, really. So it's just a drop in the bucket. $3.99 a month, I think it is. I believe you get the first 30 days for free. ActivismNewsNetwork.com. Register there to be a member of Activism News Network and keep up with all of our content on Roku, Google, Apple Play, Amazon, blah, 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 blah. Also, if you are new here and you have not done so already, please hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel here. Be sure to hit that notification bell, set it to all so you do not miss a beat. You do not want to miss when I go live. You will not want to miss when I update new important content. You're going to want to be on the cutting edge of the release of said content. And in order to be able to do that, you're going to have to set that notification bell to all. Thank you all so much for participating in the comment section and being here with me today. Follow up with me tomorrow. I will have some major updates about what happens in court tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to having my charges dismissed, which is what I think is going to happen. And I'll be very happy to share all that stuff with you later in the day after it happens, if it happens. And with that, I bid you farewell. Thanks for joining me. I might have some content coming out for you later, but it is Sunday, typically my family day, and a day where I don't do much of anything at all. So I might not post another video today. You'll definitely hear from me tomorrow, if not. All right. Thank you so much. Ciao for now. Be well, be swell. And of course, as always, God bless America.